Have you ever opened your banking app and felt your stomach get tight?
That small moment can feel surprisingly heavy.
It can. You are just looking at a number on a screen, but suddenly your whole body reacts. Your shoulders go up. Your face gets warm. You start doing math in your head very, very fast.
Rent, groceries, phone bill, coffee, delivery. That one thing you bought at midnight.
That feeling. And maybe you are not in serious trouble. Maybe the bills are paid. Maybe nothing dramatic happened. But still, you look at the number and think, wait, where did my money go?
That is the sentence for today. Where did my money go?
And if you have said that sentence before, this episode is for you. Today, Daniel and I are not going to talk about getting rich overnight. We are not going to talk about stocks, complex investments, or perfect budgets. This is English practice, not personal financial advice.
We are going to talk about something smaller and more useful for daily life.
3 tiny money habits that help me feel more in control. Not perfectly in control, just more in control than before.
And while we talk, you will learn natural English phrases like, I cannot afford that right now. I am cutting back on food delivery, and I am saving up for something important.
So here is the question I want you to keep in your mind while you listen. Do you know where most of your money goes each month?
Not as a test.
Right, not as a test, just as an honest question.
Make yourself comfortable. Imagine we are sitting at a small cafe table. I have a notebook, a warm drink, and my phone in front of me. And for once, I'm going to open the banking app without running away. Before we get into the habits, I want to say clearly what this episode is not. This is not a finance lecture. This is not, stop buying coffee and your life will be perfect. And this is not a video where someone with a perfect life tells everyone else to be more disciplined.
Thank you, because that is the tone I cannot stand. I hear it online constantly and it never helps.
Neither can I. And honestly, if someone made me sit through that kind of advice, I would close the tab in 10 seconds.
The point is not to shame yourself into saving money. The point is to build a calmer relationship with your daily choices.
Notice that sentence structure, by the way. The point is not to, but to. That is useful when you want to explain your real intention. For example, the point is not to restrict my life, but to make my choices more intentional.
And the word intentional is worth keeping. Intentional means done with thought, not automatic, not careless.
So today's English has 2 layers. The basic layer is money vocabulary. Budget, expenses, afford, save up, cut back.
And the deeper layer is how to talk about money without sounding cold, ashamed, or judgmental.
Useful for friends, family, partners, roommates, and even work conversations.
Yes, because money is not only numbers, money is emotional.
That is the real topic, isn't it?
It is, and to be honest, I had to learn that the hard way. I used to avoid checking my bank account.
Avoid it completely?
Not completely, but I would delay it. I would think, I will check it tomorrow. Then tomorrow became Friday. Friday became Sunday night. And by the time I finally looked, I was already nervous.
That sounds very real. I have done the same thing, honestly. Not with my bank account exactly, but with bills. I had a phone bill once that I knew was wrong, and I kept telling myself I would call the company tomorrow. Tomorrow lasted about 3 weeks.
That is such a common pattern. And the interesting part is people do not avoid money because they do not care. They avoid it because they feel embarrassed or even a little afraid.
What were you afraid of specifically?
Not always the number itself. It was the uncertainty around it. I had a general feeling that my money was disappearing, but I did not have a clear picture. And without a clear picture, your brain fills the empty space with anxiety.
So what was happening? Was there one big problem?
That is what surprised me. There was not one huge mistake. It was mostly small, ordinary things. Coffee after a long morning, delivery after a tiring day, a candle because it made my apartment feel nicer, a new notebook, a ride home because I did not want to wait for the bus.
None of those things sound terrible by themselves.
They were not terrible. That is why it was so easy to ignore them. I kept saying, it is just a small thing. And sometimes it was just a small thing. But small things still add up.
That phrase is important. Small things add up.
Yes, it means many small things become big over time. 1 coffee is not a problem. 5 coffees a week, plus lunch out, plus delivery, plus subscriptions you forgot about, that becomes a pattern.
Pattern. A repeated way something happens.
And once I saw the pattern, I stopped asking, why am I bad with money? That question made me feel worse. So I changed the question.
What did you ask instead?
I asked, what habit is making this harder?
I noticed the difference. Why am I bad with money turns you into the problem. What habit is making this harder turns the habit into the problem.
Exactly. And that shift matters because if I say, I am bad with money, there is nowhere to go. It sounds like my whole identity is the problem. But a habit can change. That realization was the first small relief.
Before we move on, let's catch one grammar point. You said, I used to avoid checking my bank account. Listeners, remember, used to plus base verb.
I used to avoid looking. I used to buy coffee every morning. I used to feel guilty at the end of the month.
Not, I used to bought coffee.
Right. I used to buy coffee, base verb.
That distinction is worth remembering. So what was the first tiny habit that actually helped?
A 15-minute money check-in.
A money check-in sounds simple, but also a little stressful.
It can be stressful if you treat it like a punishment. That was my mistake at first. I thought I had to sit down, judge every purchase, and create a perfect budget. Of course I avoided it.
That sounds exhausting.
It was, so I made it smaller. Once a week, usually Sunday afternoon, I make tea, open my banking app, and look at the last few days. Just 15 minutes.
What do you write down?
3 things. First, what did I spend money on? Second, what expense surprised me? Third, what do I want to change next week?
That is very manageable.
It is. And the word expense is useful here. An expense is money you spend. Rent is an expense. Groceries are an expense. A phone bill is an expense. Food delivery is an expense.
So you can say, rent is my biggest expense.
Yes. Or, my expenses were higher than usual this month.
And you ask, what expense surprised me?
That is the useful part. Maybe I spent more on snacks than I thought. Maybe 2 small subscriptions renewed on the same day. Maybe I paid a fee I did not notice before.
So the check-in gives you information before it gives you confidence.
That is such a good way to say it. The habit gave me information before it gave me confidence.
And information is calmer than guessing.
Yes, guessing feels like fog. Information feels like a light turning on.
That image stays with me. Fog versus light.
And I want to be clear, tracking your money does not mean tracking every coin forever. Some people love details, I do not. I just needed to stop being surprised by my own life.
And I think that is the real goal, right? Not perfection, just stopping the surprises.
It is. I am trying to be more aware of my spending. That is a gentle sentence. You can say it to a friend without sounding strict.
I am trying to be more aware of my spending.
Or, I am trying to keep track of my expenses.
Keep track of. That means to follow or record something so you know what is happening.
Right. You can keep track of your expenses. You can keep track of your schedule. You can keep track of your habits.
What happened the first time you did the 15-minute check-in?
I discovered something a little annoying.
Which was?
I kept saying I did not have money to save, but I was spending a lot on convenience.
Convenience like delivery.
Delivery, rideshare, quick snacks, buying lunch because I did not prepare anything. Again, none of it was evil. I was just paying money every time my life felt a little too rushed.
I want to name something here because I think listeners need to hear it. You were not buying luxury, you were buying relief, and that is a completely different thing.
It is, and that is why judging yourself does not help. When a purchase is connected to stress, shame usually makes the stress worse.
So the check-in is not, look at what you did wrong.
No, it is, look at what your week was trying to tell you.
I might steal that sentence for my own Sundays, honestly.
And after a few weeks, I had clearer language for my own life. I could say, I spend more when I am tired, or I order delivery when I skip grocery shopping, or I need a small food plan, not a stricter personality.
A small food plan, not a stricter personality. I am writing that down.
The more specific you are, the easier the change becomes. That is something the check-in taught me.
Let me tell you a tiny story.
I have a feeling this includes online shopping.
It does. One night after a difficult workday, I saw a jacket online. It was simple, dark green, very pretty. Not crazy expensive, but not cheap either.
Did you need a jacket?
Not at all. And I already had 3 perfectly fine jackets at home.
But did this jacket somehow feel different from all other jackets in human history?
Yes, at 10:48 at night, it felt like the jacket that would fix my week.
That is the danger time. Late night, plus stress, plus a beautiful product photo.
I almost bought it. My finger was right there. Add to cart, check out, done.
What stopped you?
A sentence. I said, I will think about it tomorrow.
That is it?
That is it. I did not say, no, Maya, you are terrible. I did not say, you are never allowed to buy nice things. I just said, I will think about it tomorrow.
The sentence creates space.
Yes, a small pause can protect you from a decision made by stress.
And I want to point out the phrase here, a decision made by stress. That is one of the more advanced lines in today's episode, but every single word is simple. The structure is what makes it sound confident.
Exactly, and we all know what it means.
Buying something because you are tired, sad, bored, lonely, or angry.
Right, that is impulse buying. You buy something suddenly, without planning, because you want it in the moment.
I wanted it in the moment. That phrase is worth repeating.
Very useful. It does not mean the thing was bad. It means the desire was quick and emotional. And there is actually a modern word for what I was doing. People call it stress spending. Not just impulse buying, stress spending. It means you are not buying because you need the thing. You are buying because you need the feeling, comfort, relief, a tiny reward after a hard day.
That is a different angle. Impulse buying focuses on speed. Stress spending focuses on emotion.
Exactly. And when you name the real cause, the solution changes. If you say, I need to stop impulse buying, you blame yourself. But if you say, I notice I stress spend when I am tired, you understand the pattern. And then you can do something about the tiredness instead of just fighting the spending.
So the upgrade here is, I was not impulse buying. I was stress spending because I needed comfort. That sentence sounds very psychologically aware in English, and it can be true for many people. What happened the next day?
The next morning, I still liked the jacket, but I did not feel the same urgency. The magic was gone.
So you did not buy it?
I did not, and I felt strangely proud, not because I saved a huge amount of money, but because I kept one small promise to myself.
I think that is the part people do not expect. The pride is not about the money you saved, it is about the promise you kept.
That is a good way to put it. Financial peace is not only about the amount of money you have, it is also about whether you can trust yourself in small moments.
Let me ask the realistic question. What if the listener waits 24 hours and still wants the thing?
Then they can think again. The pause is not a prison, it is a filter.
A filter?
Yes, it helps you separate a real want from a temporary feeling. Sometimes, after 24 hours, you still want the thing, you can afford it, and it fits your priorities. Fine, buy it if you choose.
But sometimes you realize, I did not really want the jacket. I wanted comfort.
And that is a completely different need.
So the jacket was never really about fashion.
It was about comfort. And if the need is comfort, a jacket is not the only answer. Maybe you need sleep. Maybe you need dinner. Maybe you need to text a friend. Maybe you need to close the shopping app and take a shower.
All of those are very ordinary, but honestly more effective than a midnight jacket purchase.
Ordinary is where money habits live.
Can we teach a few phrases for this moment?
Let's do it. These are useful for the moment when your finger is hovering over buy now.
I will think about it tomorrow.
I wanted it in the moment.
I am trying to avoid impulse buying.
It is out of my price range.
Price range means the amount you are comfortable paying.
Yes, if a restaurant is too expensive, you can say, it is a little out of my price range. That sounds polite, not dramatic.
And the big one, I cannot afford that right now.
Clear, honest, and not rude. I would love to join, but I cannot afford dinner out this week.
One quick note before we move on. We will fix the grammar of afford in the word tour. Right now, I want the more useful social question. How do you say no without making the moment awkward?
Yes, I cannot afford that right now is correct. But sometimes it feels a little vulnerable, so I often use a plan-focused sentence. It is not in my budget this week.
That feels different. I cannot afford it focuses on the limit. It is not in my budget focuses on the plan.
Exactly. And a good money boundary protects three things: your budget, your dignity, and the relationship.
Meaning, you do not overspend, you do not make yourself feel small, and you do not make the other person feel rejected.
Right. And you do not need to explain your whole bank account. Sometimes the real question is not only, can I pay? It is, what is this money for in my life right now?
So dinner with friends may be a want. Rent is an obligation. Saving a little for emergencies is a priority.
Exactly. When a want, an obligation, and a priority meet, you need language.
And one useful formula is, I am prioritizing blank this month, so I will blank. Honest, calm, not dramatic.
I am prioritizing rent this month, so I will skip dinner and join for coffee after. Or, I am saving up for my trip, so I am keeping things simple this week.
Clear, kind, and specific. Let us test it in one real scene. Hey, a few of us are going to that new seafood place tonight. Want to come?
I would love to see everyone, but dinner there is not in my budget this week. Could I join you for coffee after?
Good, you said no to the expense, not to the person. Come on, it is just one dinner.
I get that. I am just trying to be careful with my spending this month.
Good again. You acknowledged the friend, but you stayed with your plan. You deserve something nice.
I do. That is why I am choosing something that will not stress me out tomorrow.
And that is the moment. The friend says, it is only dinner, but your banking app says, please sit down.
Exactly. I am saying no to one expense. I am not saying no to the friendship.
So you are being strict now.
Maybe a little, but small expenses add up for me, and I want to build the habit first.
For me, matters there. You are not judging the friend's spending.
Right. Money is personal. For me, keeps the sentence personal.
So listeners, here are 3 safe lines.
It is not in my budget this week.
I am prioritizing rent and savings this month.
Could I join you for coffee after?
And if it is a work gift, the pattern is the same. That amount is not in my budget right now. Could I contribute a smaller amount instead?
Same boundary, different scene.
And still, no long apology. So habit 2 is not only for shopping apps.
Right. Pause before impulse buying and use calm language when social pressure appears.
Habit 3?
Saying no protects this week. Habit 3 protects next month. Save first, but start tiny.
I want to ask this carefully because saving advice can sound unrealistic. If someone is already stretched thin, helping family, or dealing with irregular income, save first can sound like advice from another planet.
Right. If money is tight, just save more can sound insulting because it ignores reality. The useful version has to start with the month you actually have, not the month you wish you had.
So when you say save first, you do not mean saving a huge amount at the end of a perfect month. You mean giving even a small amount a job before the month disappears.
Yes, when money comes in, I put aside a small amount before daily spending uses it up. The amount matters less than whether I can repeat it without creating another problem.
So tiny is not embarrassing. It is the number that lets the habit survive.
Right, $5, $10, even $1 if that is the honest number this month. If the number is too big, most people do not become disciplined. They become discouraged.
The language helps too. A sentence like, "When I get paid, I put aside $10 for my emergency cushion," sounds small, but it also sounds active and clear.
Yes, put aside is useful because it means reserve money for a purpose before random spending takes it. And naming the purpose matters just as much as naming the amount.
Because for savings is vague. For my emergency cushion, for my rent buffer, or for my trip feels more real.
Once the goal has a name, the habit feels less like punishment. It feels more like protection. You are not hiding money from yourself. You are giving it a job.
Let us stay with emergency cushion, because I like that phrase. What does it mean in normal life, not in finance book language?
For me, it did not mean a huge emergency fund at first. It meant a little room. If my charger broke, I needed medicine, or I had to take a taxi home late at night, I would not panic immediately.
That definition is easier to use. The cushion is not about being rich. It is about giving yourself a little room. And that phrase is useful English because it means space and flexibility.
It also keeps the goal emotionally manageable. If I chose a number that was too big, I did not become disciplined. I became discouraged, guilty, and much more likely to stop.
Which is why your other sentence matters. I want to build the habit first. That gives listeners permission to start small without feeling childish about it.
Exactly. Habit first, bigger numbers later if life allows it. Some natural goal phrases are, I am saving up for a trip, I am saving up for a laptop, or I am putting aside a little money for a rent buffer.
And priority still matters here, because saving is not abstract. You are deciding what gets protected first.
Right. A priority is what you protect before random spending makes the decision for you. You can say, my priority this month is rent, or my priority this month is an emergency cushion. And suddenly the plan sounds more real.
Now the hard part. What happens if someone misses a month? Because that is exactly where many people quietly give up.
Then real life happened. Missing a month is not proof that you are bad with money. The repair sentence is simple. I missed this month, but I am coming back to it next month.
That sounds steady because it describes a pause, instead of turning one hard month into an identity. It sounds adult without sounding cold.
You are returning to the habit, not restarting your entire life. That is one reason tiny systems work. They are easier to come back to.
So if a listener wants the full routine in one piece, what is the sentence?
I would say, when I get paid, I put aside a small amount for my emergency cushion. If I miss a month, I come back next month. That is the whole routine.
And if we connect that back to habit 2, the logic becomes very clear. The 24-hour pause helps you stop one purchase, and the tiny saving habit gives that money a place to go.
One protects today's decision, and the other reduces next month's stress. That is why habit 3 is not save perfectly. It is save early, save small, and name the purpose.
And if it gives you even a little room before panic, that is already a meaningful win.
I think that matters because many people imagine saving as a rich person activity. In real life, it often starts as a way to breathe a little easier.
which is a much better promise than become perfect by next month. And it is probably why this habit sounds gentler instead of punishing.
Much better and more honest. People can work with honest language.
All right, now let me ask the emotional question that comes after all of this practical advice.
Go ahead. That is the honest question after all the practical advice.
After these habits, did you stop worrying about money, or was the change something smaller and more realistic than that?
Smaller, but still important. Never worry is not a realistic goal because life is expensive. People have responsibilities, and unexpected things keep happening.
So the win was not perfection, it was clarity, and clarity is often enough to lower the fear.
I stopped feeling completely in the dark, and that changed a lot. Financial peace, for me, does not mean I never have problems. It means I can look at my situation without panic.
Not perfect control then, but less fear, fewer surprises, and clearer priorities.
Yes, and less shame too. Once you can see what is happening, money feels less like a secret problem and more like something you can face.
And that is where the emotional side returns, because money is never only numbers.
We do not only spend with our wallets, we spend with our stress, our hopes, our loneliness, and sometimes with the need to feel successful for 5 minutes.
That last one hits hard because it is so ordinary and so easy to miss while it is happening.
Right. That is why numbers alone are not enough. If you only look at the total, you know what happened, but you still do not know why it happened.
And if you only look at feelings, you miss the practical side too. You need both if you want change that is gentle but real.
The number tells you what happened. The feeling helps you understand the pattern behind it. That is where useful English can become useful self-awareness too.
So the episode is really building a bridge, practical English for the numbers and more reflective English for the reasons behind them.
Yes, the simple version is, I spent too much on delivery this month. The deeper version is, I noticed I spend more when I am tired, so I am trying to prepare easier meals during the week.
That sounds like a real adult sentence because it does not attack the person. It describes a pattern and points toward a change.
Shame says, what is wrong with me? Reflection says, what pattern can I change? That shift matters much more than people think.
If listeners remember one shift from this episode, I hope it is that move from shame to reflection.
I hope so too. Once you can say, I notice I spend more when I am tired, you can actually change the pattern instead of attacking yourself.
Before the word tour, can you give us the 3 habits again, but this time as one complete system instead of 3 separate tips?
Sure. Habit 1 is the 15-minute money check-in. It helps you look at your spending gently instead of avoiding it. Habit 2 is the 24-hour pause, which gives emotion time to cool down before you buy.
So first you look honestly, and then you slow the moment down. That already changes a lot, even before the numbers themselves change.
Yes. Then habit 3 is what protects the next month. Save first, but start tiny, so the amount is small enough to repeat and clear enough to name.
Which is why your 3 habits fit together better than they might sound at first. One builds awareness, one interrupts stress spending, and one gives your money a direction.
The whole system is look honestly, pause when emotion is loud, and put aside something small before the month disappears.
That is the version I want listeners to remember, because it sounds simple, but it is actually very grown up.
I think so too. The language is simple, but the skill is deeper. You are learning how to deal with money without hiding from it.
And it still stays practical, which matters for this channel. We are not teaching philosophy here. We are teaching sentences people can carry into ordinary life.
A listener can use these sentences in a real conversation, in a private journal, or in that quiet moment when they are deciding what to do with their paycheck.
That is what I like about this topic. It gives people useful English, but it also gives them calmer language for their own lives.
Yes, and calmer language matters. Sometimes the sentence you use changes the feeling around the situation,
before the numbers themselves change.
Which brings us back to one of my favorite lines from this episode. Say no to the expense, not to the person.
Right. And on the saving side, it is the same principle. Start with a number that protects the habit, not with a number that looks impressive for 1 week.
All right, give us the 3 habits one last time, very cleanly, for the listener who is walking and only half catching the details.
Habit 1, a 15-minute money check-in. Habit 2, the 24-hour pause before impulse buying. Habit 3, save first but start tiny.
And underneath those 3 is the same idea every time. Notice what is happening, do not panic, and choose on purpose.
That is the whole idea. Now let us slow down and review the language clearly, because the lines themselves are part of the lesson.
Before we go, quick word check. 3 fixes, then shadowing.
First, afford. Do not say, I cannot afford because expensive. Say, I cannot afford it. Or in a social situation, it is not in my budget this week.
Second, expense. 1 expense, many expenses.
Right. Rent is my biggest expense. My expenses were higher than usual this month.
Third, put aside.
When I get paid, I put aside a small amount for my emergency cushion. It means you reserve money for a purpose before the month disappears.
Now shadowing. Repeat after Maya.
It is not in my budget this week.
Again, it is not in my budget this week.
I am prioritizing rent and savings this month.
Again, I am prioritizing rent and savings this month.
Could I join you for coffee after?
Again, could I join you for coffee after?
When I get paid, I put aside a small amount for my emergency cushion.
Again, when I get paid, I put aside a small amount for my emergency cushion.
One last line. I missed this month, but I am coming back to it next month.
Good. Your question for today. Write 1 sentence.
One small money habit I want to start is,
You do not need perfect English to talk about real life.
you just need one useful sentence at a time.
See you in the next episode.
Take care of yourself and let money feel a little lighter.